I can't change my opinion about what I think the mission statement is.
No, you can't, but you can agree not to enact that opinion because it's gotten so much opposition, and you need to learn more about what the hell is going on here.
That's not my
When you
decision.
say what we do,
Well,
you're not talking about we.
I understand. You don't have to worry about that. It's not my decision to make. The board will make this decision.
But it is your power law.
I'm tired of hearing that because it's going to go to the board. Most of the people on the board, when did they come? They came under you.
The majority of the board is not.
The reality is that ideologically they agree with the mission statement. What's going to happen is, I mean, I feel like it's such a cop-out. I mean, you're saying it's not my decision. The board's going to decide. It's going to go before the board. It's going to be split right down the middle, and it's going to be your mission.
Well, if it's split down on the basis that you say, then I will be in the minority because I haven't recruited a majority of the board members. I recruited 16. We have 35.
Hey, Tom, if the board decides to leave the mission statement as it is, will you then go and, for lack of a better word, sell it?
Oh, absolutely.
And stand
absolutely.
behind it?
As I say, what we do, I mean, it's the reason I came here. I obviously think that my explanation of what we do is a better explanation. But no, I will have no problem with that. But I would hope, because as I say here, this is, I spend all my time with budgets and fundraising. This is the most fun I have, is getting to talk about the mission of liberal education. So whatever results, I would hope we could continue to have these discussions.
These aren't discussions. This is an argument. This is a disagreement. This would be a failure of a Shimer College.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, you know what?
It's cooperative. It's collaborative learning.
Yeah, but you see,
It's a give and take. If somebody is so stuck that you just...
It worries me. I gotta confess, I understand it, but I gotta confess.
Then you go back and you try, what are the assumptions that aren't making sense?
I
I haven't heard you ask any real questions. You ask like rhetorical questions.
Well, let me ask this question. Why is a class a failure if all the members of which don't reach a consensus?
It's not consensus. It's not consensus.
Okay.
It's a shared inquiry. It's all of us
Okay.
on the same team examining a position.
Does that mean that at the end, everybody agrees?
No, it means at the end some people have said some things that they might not even agree with personally, but that we have come out with a greater understanding of the text under discussion. And if it descends into a fight or an argument, it obscures the purpose of a class, which is to clarify the text under discussion. And obviously there's not, in fact, a text in front of us, but I think.
Yes, there is. I think all the great books are in front of us.
Let me clarify, I think if this were to be a class, like, the text would not necessarily just be like the mission statement, it would be Shimer College. That's what we're looking at, and how we understand that college and the way it works. And I think part of what's being brought out here is there's been a little bit too much of a focus on just sort of language and rhetoric, and not perhaps paying attention to the dynamics of the college and how it works, and how we want that accurately portrayed in the mission statement.
Good.
That's our problem.
Good. Help me with that. What about the dynamics?
Active citizenship relates to the spirit of cooperation and shared inquiry in the classroom, addressing the great books, and it doesn't just relate to some meta perspective on like, what liberal education is.
Yeah, well,
that's what Bill meant when he was saying that Shimer should be represented, I guess, as a species rather than a genus. So that was very clear what he said.
sure. And if the hope for a result is better understanding of the opposing views, every time I have these meetings with all of you, I better understand the basis for your objections. I would hope that my case for what liberal education is hasn't struck all of you as completely from Mars, and that something I may have said helps you as you continue to think about these things.
Let me bring it back down to something practical rather than theoretical for a moment, because we've been talking about process and transparency. So let me sort of bring it back to that, but in a very grounded way. Following the move from Waukegan to Chicago, which was largely financed by a donation from the anonymous donor, Patrick Parker was brought onto the board, who's of a far-right ideological bent, following which Chuck Lang, John Mariano, and a third individual, the name of whom I'm forgetting at the moment, Joe Bast of the Heartland Institute, were brought on in 2008, following which, in 2009, you have the most recent 15 inductees, again, all from a far-right political bent. And, of course, you have your own vote on the board. So that's 15 plus 3 plus yourself is 18. So, sorry, 15 plus 3 plus yourself is 19. So you have majority vote, I would say, on the current board as comprised of 35. And recently, 6 nominees were blocked, 6 nominees not of a far-right ideological bent. And it seems the next step is to rewrite the mission statement radically, throw it out and write it in whole cloth. I'm wondering, you said that you were communicating this to the alum community, but if anything, it seems like all of this has been occurring in secrecy, as quietly as possible. In meetings such as this, which are closed and limited, you have discussions. But what specific steps have you taken to contact the 3,800 alums for whom you do have correct mailing and email address, to poll them or find a representative sample to poll? What steps have you taken to communicate any of this to the alum community?
Everyone for whom we had an address, we sent out the strategic planning process.
I have an address and I haven't received any such.
Now let the advancement office know, because as I said here, that's one of the big...
Who else here is an alum?
Shimer had my address, I've never gotten it.
Okay, well that's what, I mean, that's been a problem with Shimer.
And yet I receive all of the other communications from the advancement office. Who else has gotten communications from the advancement office? Newsletters or symposium? Everyone has?
I put my stuff out on Cosmos, which I thought was the furthest reaching internet communication we have.
So, but tell me again, who you sent out a strategic mission via snail mail? Is that what did you say that you sent out to the 3,800 people for whom you have an address?
No, I sent out an email.
So what other steps other than Cosmos have you taken to communicate this to the 3,800?
That's all that I've taken, although Mike Diaz's not here today, as one of the folks that is helping with the strategic planning process. Part of what the Higher Learning Commission requires is that we try to contact all of those that we can to let them know what's going on. So, you know, as I said back in October, let 1,000 flowers bloom.
I just had to think of it. Both my parents went to Shimer, and they still get solicitations for donations, but I told them about the mission statement change. They never got anything about it.
And I think most of the alums sitting in this room got their information from myself or a couple of other alums.
Well, again, as I say, this is something that's been a problem at Shimer since long before I was here.
Apparently it's not those things they get other Shimer.
Yeah, everything else. But
Yeah.
Well, because of our, we have a long discussion here, which I'm happy to do about our budget. Paper communications.
I don't think we have to. I think we all understand the essential point.
But if we got it, shouldn't we look into it? I mean, it's not too
Go
bad,
ahead.
right?
Go right ahead.
Is Mike Diot now the director of advancement? What is
Yes.
his title?
Director of Advancement.
Okay. Did he come in on as a consultant?
He was a consultant during the first half of 2009, and he's been hired now on a contract basis.
Uh-huh. Did that go through the administrative committee?
Contract hires do not need to go through the administrative.
Whoa, wait.
How long
I'm
is
on
the
the
contract?
administration. I had no idea this happened.
Well,
Yeah.
as I just said,
Well, let's talk about that.
contract hires do not need administrative.
How long is the contract?
Yeah.
Through the end of this year, but I'm so happy with the job that he's done that if I can talk him into.
The job he's done not communicating with most of the alums?